Sudan had its fair share of this aid that that nations in Africa do get. Would it in any way have actually aided the government, I mean the civil government in Sudan, in such a way that the military would not even have an input or inroad?
Oh, well, I see where you're going with this. I don't think it has anything to do with Sudan being deprived of their needed fund.
Support.
No, I don't think it has nothing to do with that. A democratic process via interim framework, it's not dependent on an outside loan funding that's through a loan process. No, it is a process set up to ensure that the channels and the walls of democracy is in place, so that by 2023 an election is held. Now, to say that the country should go get a loan from the African Development Bank, it's not. It's for if they're even thinking that, that's the reason why the military came and toppled the government. It's nonsense. Right. It's nonsense. The military came into power because they have their own idea. Yeah.
Well, I'm not totally trying to drum support for acquisition of loan from the African Development. I'm just looking at the chances where maybe if more funding, if more support had come in for the democratic transition government, maybe we will have been able to avoid some other
again, perhaps, you are right. Again, the African Union could have done more, no doubt. Most of them doesn't have to be loan, they can be grants. They can give them grants and interest-free, whatever, loans, so that to support the process. Brings me back to what I said before, that the AU has been handicapped. They're not doing their job. As far as I'm concerned, the organization is better dissolved than existing. I don't see the essence of it.
That's huge.
Yeah.
All right, but we need to take a break.
Yes.
So we'll continue with the conversation.
Yeah.
All right, viewers, let's take this short break from this conversation. And when we return, my guests will continue to answer the salient questions regarding Sudan's military coup. We'll be right back.
In a world where information is vital to every individual, a platform where technology is a medium to pass information, you can always catch up on all information written in the newspapers even without having one. Join us on The Press as we give you information and opinions about current events and news on politics, sports.
Sport now, Messi has seen Barcelona transfer over.
Entertainment, business, weather, and lots more. In local cities, across all states and across all countries. Showing daily on Star Times, channel 124, 12 p.m. West African time. Only on KAFTAN TV. Imagine a beautiful world.
In case you just joined us, this is Politics Global and we're reaching you from KAFTAN Television Studios in Abuja. Today we are discussing Sudan's military coup and the recurrent issues of military coup re-emerging in Africa. Of course, I'm also in the studios with Labode Obanor, who is a social justice advocate and the president of the League for Social Justice. It's good to have you again. I mean, this conversation is getting interesting, but I'd like us to talk about how widespread this is becoming. We may say that Africa is a large continent, no doubt. We have 52 countries, and as we speak, 3 in a single year have witnessed military injunctions or incursions, and 3 out of 52 is very little, yeah? But you will agree with me that if it starts in one and it is successful and it goes on, that we can begin to have a ripple effect in other African states. All right, so I wanted to ask, why are we having this in Africa? You started, of course, by talking about the foundation, how Africa, was formerly taken over by military government, and then from 1960 and the 1970s, African states began to get independence from these military groups, which of course is established. Now we are going back there. And a lot of people are talking about, anytime, these problems in Africa surface, they talk about leadership problem, leadership problem. So I want to ask, for me, from my personal observation, for example, I've tried to look at it, that you see people who are supposedly, who ought to be Democrats, and then you see them undertaking or engaging in some undemocratic activities, and this is widespread across Africa. You remember Museveni, you remember, there are a lot of them that you can mention almost throughout the countries of Africa. There is this tint of military character in their leadership. Even we cannot rule it, even back home here, because, for example, most African states and most democratic governments usually have a timeline, and then you say it's 4 years, it's 8 years, depending on the country. And we've had situations where even a president, after completing his 8 years, tried through the use of the instrumentality of the constitution, to make sure that he extends his tenure. So I want to ask, is this a leadership problem? Is it cost? Is it an African problem, or it's a problem that was inherited? Since most African countries were also products of slave trade or colonialism or whatever, does this have any impact on Africa's leadership?
Very good question. I think a little bit of the after effects of the imperialist era and our problem as a people is a combined effect. I'm telling you the truth. It's not just one or the other. It's not a binary situation. A remnant of the colonial mentality is still going on right now. Where, like I wrote in one of my pieces, those that took over from the imperial British people who left in 1960 in Nigeria, for example, they handed over to a pseudo democratic government who were in a way subservient to them. So it wasn't really a democratic process. They didn't willingly give up power. So that's one. On the other hand, you also have our people. We as a people, we celebrate artificial wealth and position. We do not understand what democracy is. Democracy is supposed to be those in authority serving the people. But that's not our idea of democracy. In vast majority of African people, we see those in leaders as demigods, small gods, because they are in the position of authority. So we celebrate them. We make them feel and give them enormous power. You see people, a politician who is looting the public till, instead of being shamed and disgraced, and our people celebrate them. And the same people will clap for them and roll red carpet for them and continue to, pamper them. So if you look at both, that kind of encourage these politicians and this elite to consolidate their hold. So, oh, really? Wow. If I can do this, these people are this gullible. They are this naive. They don't even know my wealth is their wealth that I'm using to enrich myself. Their children go outside to the Western nation to school. They go get graduate degree from the world best university, but they can't even face the elementary and secondary education in the country. And the people still celebrate them. These are people who are taking food from their mouth. They are injuring their future, depriving them of access to basic necessities of life, and yet celebrate them. So it's a combination of both. Frankly, I'm telling you, Benga, we are going to see, unfortunately, this is going to increase. This coup that we are seeing right now, we've not seen the last of it. Nigeria, Cameroon, Somalia, and some other countries have been listed among one of the fragile democracies who will fall to military coup in the very near future. Now, I say Nigeria, people go, oh, Nigeria. Why? How come Nigeria? Yes. Nigeria is listed among the fragile states. Look at what's been going on in the past couple of years, and one would be stupid or be naive and think that this can happen in Nigeria. No, it can happen in Nigeria, where you have a military-like president here who thinks he's still wearing a khaki uniform, not knowing he's a civilian president, and all kinds of stuff going on here. So it is we are going to see this happen again. Unfortunately, we've not seen the last. The people have to demand good government. The civilian leadership must understand their role as a leader, which is first their service to the people and not to themselves. Once they realize that, maybe they can turn the clock and begin to put us towards the path of progress.
All right, I share your ideas, but I'm thinking, over the years, one of the major problems of Africa has been poverty. And you will agree with me that poverty and gullibility, they are like Siamese twins. I mean, yes. When people don't have options, they take what comes to them. But then we have also seen other continents, especially the West, invest in Africa in terms of trying to orientate and reorientate Nigerians or reorientate Africans to be able to know what's their place in a democratic government. Now, my question is, would you say that these moves, especially from the West by Western states, have not generated any impact on African citizens in terms of demanding accountability from leadership in a democratic government?
Well, I think the West is only serving their own interests. The West is looking for a society that is stable, where they can invest, put their company, their businesses, where they can generate more profit to themselves. They don't want an unstable environment. It's deter investment. So when you say the West, they're acting in their interest. And rightly so, they should do that. I'm not saying they should not act in their interest. But if any change is going to take place in the African countries, it has to come from the people. The people are going to be the one to stand up against an oppressive government. A government that are denying them access to life. As far as I'm concerned, if you still don't have light, you don't have good rules, your life is at stake in the 21st century. So a government that denies its people access to good roads, access to infrastructure, access to healthcare, access to education, you are denying them access to life. And the African people must understand that their life is at stake. This is an existential threat, that it is them against the people. And they must rise up and demand good government. So the change should come from the people. Unfortunately, the way the people are now, a reorientation and revamping of the mindset has to take place in Africa. The West is not going to help us. I keep saying this. We keep waiting for the West. The West just want to enrich themselves. That's it. Africa is ripe for exploitation. It's like 1930s and 40s back again. Guess what? It is being done by our own people that look like you and I. So there is no difference. The solution is the people. I was speaking to somebody 2 days ago, and she told me and said, oh, we have to be careful because we can't speak up. People are going to be arrested, killed, whatever. I said, the democracy comes with a price. And the dividend of democracy has to be watered, like the last president of America, United States said, by the blood of patriots. People will die for this country, for all this country in Africa to be completely revived. And let's not kid ourselves. These are political war horses who have invested in making sure that they are enriched for generations. So they will fight tooth and nail to consolidate and preserve their position, even if it means killing people. So I'm not confused about it. We know what it is, but our people are not ready. They are not ready, and we have not seen the end.
All right. When you say people are not ready, I mean, this is a question that a whole lot of people usually talk about.
Yeah.
That Africans are not ready, and they are not demanding enough accountability from